Hey everyone, Callie here, and today I've got some special footage for you. This is some gameplay of Gym Leader Challenge from our recent Gym Leader Championship held at Gubu Hobby in Snellville, Georgia. Going to be bringing you multiple games from this event. Today we will be looking at round one, going to be grass versus colorless. We will see who comes out on top. And if you happen to be in the area, we play GLC every week at Gubu Hobby in Snellville, Georgia. Feel free to come join us out. We've got a great crowd. We would love to have you. That said, let's get into the game. This game is going to be grass versus colorless. Our grass player lost the coin flip, so they're going to go first. Their opponent chose to go second. A lot of times grass does want to go second because they do have a Zarude, which can find them lots of grass Pokemon when they're going second and can use that attack. It does look like our grass player is starting with that as well, so it would be kind of ideal here for them. It's not the end of the world for grass to go first as well. There's obviously lots of evolution they want to do as well. But it does look like we've got that Buddy Buddy Poffin for our grass player. Probably going to find a couple of grass Pokemon they want to get down. There is a lot of Pokemon that you want to get out in your grass deck and get those evolutions going really quickly. Probably going to see, yep, looks like that Turtwig. Grottle's also obviously a great Pokemon in GLC, since with that Suntrend Shell ability to find grass Pokemon. And then that Rosalie will be great when you get the Roserade later to be able to evolve that and find one card that you need. Great way to be able to get a piece that you need of your deck so you can get going and start attacking. Meanwhile, our colorless player looks like has a Swovent and a Bibear or a Bidoof in play. Two great Pokemon. Colorless usually relies on a very powerful draw engine with Bibarel, Swovent, and Rangaroo, along with very powerful attackers like Snorlax to be able to take lots of KOs. So both players are leading in a pretty good spot right off the bat. A quick ball from our colorless player. See what they're going to grab here. Since they already have some decent supports down in that Swovent and Bidoof, I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and get an attacker. Looking at that Lugia potentially. Snorlax is always a good option as well. Looks like it's right next to that. So our colorless players also doing a nice prize check. See what they're missing in their deck. Don't want to be surprised later when you're maybe using a Guzma and Hala or some other card to search out some very specific pieces of your deck that you may need. Saw that Field Blower in there, which is often a very important card in a lot of different matchups. Especially if that Turffield Stadium gets going from our grass player, you might want to blow that away, as well as many of their good tool cards that they'll put on their Pokemon. So it's always good that that's in there. Looks like ultimately does choose that Snorlax. Makes a lot of sense. Wants to grab a nice attacker. They can start powering it up. Since it is the first turn, it's a great time to be able to go ahead and probably put an energy on that Snorlax, assuming our colorless player has one. Definitely need to start going pretty quickly because our grass player already has a decent setup. If they're able to get that Grotle next turn, they'll be able to start finding more of their grass Pokemon. Zarude, has the nice Pack Call attack to be able to give them another Pokemon if they don't have much else going on. Oh, does look like an aggressive play already with the Jet Energy on that Snorlax. Not sure if this is the only energy they had in play or if they just wanted to get into the active and protect that Swelvet, because they're not expecting to be hit next turn. Also got a Tate and Lisa. Looks like getting a hand refresh. Wants to find some more cards. Hopefully be able to get some more things in play. More stuff set up. See a Parallel City in hand there. We have a town map and teammates. Lots of pretty standard cards that you'll see in colorless and many other decks, honestly. There's a lot of supports and other trainers that you'll see in a lot of different decks. Now we get to see what the prizes are. Well, we get Guzman Hala. Oh, wow, that's some pretty rough prizing. The Hex Maniac could definitely come in handy to shut off some of Grass's abilities. Capture Energy, obviously very good. Luxurious Cape, Guzman Hala. Yeah, that's some rough prizing there. All right, makes sense. So we've got our Roserade all ready for our grass player, so they'll be able to go find something they want. My guess is there's a decent chance we'll see like either Grotto or Turffield Stadium, assuming that's not prized, to be able to start finding a lot more Pokemon. So there is plenty of good choices that our grass player could potentially grab. Not sure we'll be able to see what it is that is gotten there, and does look like it is that Grotto. What if that means Turffield Stadium is prized, or maybe they want to save that for later. We might be worried about it being bounced. Getting down that Applin does mean we will potentially see a Diplin later, likely running that Festival leads as well as a Grookey, which lets you find a item when you have a Festival lead Pokemon in play, and then that Diplin lets you take 2 attacks when you have Festival rounds. I might be misremembering some of those names, but basically the Grookey works with the Diplin, and then the Diplin works with your Stadium card to let you either find cards or get extra attacks. Looks like we got an Ultra Ball, getting rid of that Rillaboom, confirming we do have a Grookey somewhere in the deck. Muscle Band goes away as well. Got a Hoppip, another way to have multiple attackers. Hoppip, when you eventually get into that Jump Bluff, has that, I believe it's called Fluffy Barrage, lets you attack twice in one turn for 60 damage. Good way to be able to potentially take 2 prizes, or hey, just, do 120 damage and knock out a decent Pokemon. Next up, going into that Skiploom. Skiploom's got a great ability. If you can attach a grass energy to it, then you can immediately evolve it into Jump Bluff, even if you just played down that Hoppip this turn. Obviously can't evolve the Hoppip just yet since that just came down, but next turn could potentially do that Skiploom and then go right into Jump Bluff and have another attacker. Our grass player is looking really good, passes it over. Buddy Poffin from our colorless player. Probably going to get down. I saw a Cincino in the deck, so likely going to get the basic of that into play to potentially get another draw support down later. Might be the only other Pokemon they've got left in their deck. Didn't really see anything as they were going through the deck just now, looking for stuff. So yeah, it does look like it's just the Mincino that's going to be grabbed. That evolution has a great make do ability, lets you discard a card to draw 2 cards. Very powerful colorless support Pokemon that lets you draw lots of cards. Call for Family on that Mincino is not bad as well. If you manage to start with that, it lets you, for 1 energy, find 2 Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Well, looks like we got an Iono, so both players will get a hand refresh. Does mean that our grass player does lose that middle evolution for the Hoppip that they had in their hand, but they'll be able to go back, get it back with the Grottle if they want it. Looks like our colorless player did find Bibarrel. Excellent card to be able to find in this situation. Be able to get that powerful Nest Dash and then Industrious Incisors combo going. Or they'll be able to shuffle their hand, put it on the bottom of their deck, draw 1 card with the Nest Dash from Squovent, then draw 4 to 5 cards if they're able to play that card with the Squovent or with the Bibarrel. Also gets down Cyclizar. Cyclizar is a great pivot Pokemon. It's got that free retreat. Not a terrible attack either. Relatively easy to power. Definitely some situations where you might either want to use that first attack to draw a card or hit with that other attack. No, typically you're using it more as a pivot Pokemon. Does look like we've got the Nest Dash. So there's the hand going to the bottom. Draw 1 card. See if this is played. Looks like no. So we'll do Industrious Incisors for another 4. Ooh, got a Lost City, a Level Ball. Didn't really see too much else going on in that hand, though, but it's a little hard to see because there's an Evolution Incense. It's not honestly looking like a great hand. I think I saw a Super Rod and another Energy. So kind of a unfortunate hand for our Snorlax player here. Was definitely wanting that double energy. If I'd gotten that, would have been able to take a KO this turn, but unfortunately that's just going to have to be a pass. See what our grass player does here. Likely going to start with Grottle, depending on what was in the hand. That makes sense. Figure we go get that Skiploom there. Likely has a grass energy to evolve it here. I wouldn't be too surprised. There we go. So it's going to evolve right into the Jump Bluff. Might be looking to retreat here from the Zarude into that Skiploom. We'll need another energy or some other way to get that Zarude out of the active right now. Might just be buying time here, expecting Snorlax to maybe take a KO next turn. So for now, could just be biding their time. Escape Rope, there we go. So we do have a way to be able to get out of the active. Looks like we will probably get a KO on the Cyclizar unless we've got the boss, which we do. This Bibarel is a great choice to take out here, really limit the draw that our colorless player has. Be able to see what they have in their hand too. We know colorless does not have a lot. This is perfect KO for our grass player. Going to take the first prize, knock out a very important Pokemon. Very good play and a very good situation for our grass player. So they also got that Shaman down. Another nice attacker for later on in the game. Good basic Pokemon to be able to hit for some decent damage with relatively little energy requirements. See how our colorless player can potentially get out of this. Does have that pivot Pokemon and the Cyclizar in the active. Still not seeing much going on in their hand. They can go get their Cincino with that evolution incense and do make do. Hopefully find something. Right now, it's almost just even a desperation Squovent to nest dash into one card and hope you get something really good. But we'll see what our colorless player does. I definitely think getting that Mincino or that Cincino is probably the best play here. We know it's not in the prizes since those are flipped over. Colorless is definitely looking in a little bit of a rough spot here. I don't see another energy in hand either. So if they want to be able to attack, they need to find an energy. Super Rod will probably be pretty good to get that Bidoof and Bibarel back into play, but we're really relying on 2 cards from this Encino to get our colorless player back into the game. Right now, they're just staring down a very scary Jumpluff with a pretty scary looking board on the other side of the field. Once that Grottle is down and your opponent can always just find whatever grass Pokemon you need, you're in a really rough spot. That Diplin, that can come into play at any point. It can just attack with 1 energy, so it can be ready to go next turn if this Jumpluff does get knocked out. Does look like a Super Rod is being played, well as Level Ball, so the Bibarel did go back in, so Bidoof is coming back out. Colorless player definitely wants to get that set back up. Bibarel, like I was saying earlier, very powerful draw. If our player did have that Bibarel right now, they would be in a much better spot, be much more likely to find another energy that they could put on their Snorlax to just start swinging. But without that, again, they were just limited to that make do, which thankfully they were at least able to get that into play. If they didn't have that evolution incense, they would be in an even worse spot. Lost City going away. Did see an energy. Unfortunately, it is a double colorless energy. It's not a great thing to want to be able to attach here since you already have 2 energies on your Snorlax. This will power it up further than it needs to go. But hey, Tezper Tines call for deficit measures. So I'm probably going to see our player attach that here. Looks like he's definitely thinking about it. There he goes, does attach that energy. Snorlax fully powered up, can start attacking. We'll see if he goes into the active. Most likely will. There's not a ton of reason to wait around here. If you're giving your last player just extra time, they're really just going to have more and more chances to start running away with the game. You need to start taking those KOs, getting those prizes. Does look like Marnie happens. And remembering this game, this is actually, there was a little bit of an issue with our colorless player. When our colorless player played Marnie here, he did unfortunately shuffle the 1 card he had left in his hand into his deck. Thankfully, I was sitting right there. It was able to verify what card he had in his hand, which was just a counter catcher. So we were able to just fix this situation and correct it for him. Thankfully, did not have to give him a game loss or any kind of major penalty for this situation, since we were able to verify what that card was and fix this situation. So took out that counter catcher, put it on the bottom of the deck. Deck did get kind of ordered in a way than it would have been otherwise, but it was sufficiently random, so it's not an end of the world type situation. Ultimately, just gave a warning for this situation and allowed them to continue. Definitely something to be careful about when you are playing. You know, you got your Marnies, your Ends, your Ionos. All of them have different ways of putting your cards in. Marnie's on the bottom of the deck, as well as Iono. If you do shuffle those in many cases, that can wind up being a game loss. There's no way to be able to verify what cards you had in your hand, then there's really no way to recover that game state and lots of opportunities to potentially get an advantage. But again, thankfully, I was sitting right there, able to fix the situation for them, and they could continue. Would have been very unfortunate in this game that way. This was a very good game so far. All right, so play resumes here. Again, was just a warning, so players don't have to worry about any prize penalties here. Looking like a much better hand after that Marnie. Got that Parallel City, potentially limit our grass player's bench here. This can really make our situation a lot worse for our grass player than it is currently. They do have some decent things they can discard. That Roserade has already served its purpose, so it's better off the bench at this point than still in play. My guess is they'll probably discard either Shaman, that is looks like what they're considering, or the Applin. Does look like the Roserade goes, and they definitely are considering that Shaman. No, looks like Zarude. So that will go into the discard. Then here comes Snorlax. Snorlax is getting ready to use that powerful thumping snore attack. Hits for 180, but then puts you to sleep. You gotta roll 2 dice then to see if you wake up. So let's see if this Snorlax wakes up, and then what our grass player will promote. Also grabs that Guzma and Hala. One nice thing about Town Map, player does know what they're going to be able to grab. Ultimately does wake up as well. Looks like our colorless player probably wants to find a tool card to help support their Snorlax next turn. They don't really need the energy at the moment, and they've got a good stadium in play, so I'm not sure what stadium they might want to go for. Do have this Diplin. Question becomes, do we have the festival grounds for our grass player to be able to potentially take a KO if they can manage to fill up their bench with this Diplin? Diplin does more damage based on the number of Pokemon you've got on your bench, and then can again attack twice if you've got that festival grounds. Does have the energy. Does that mean they've got the festival grounds? Apparently going to be digging for it, playing Iono. Thankfully, both of our players do confirm real quick, jokingly, making sure, put those on the bottom. Yep. And then we'll draw 5 for our colorless, 6 for our grass player. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so we don't have Festival lead. Does want to get rid of that Parallel City to get some more Pokemon down, though, at some point. So does put down that Chaotic Swell. This is likely going to hurt our grass player later on. Chaotic Swell does require you to, basically, as soon as you try to bump a stadium with that, it will just put that stadium in the discard as well, and Chaos Swell will go there too. So you essentially have to play 2 stadiums before you can actually play a stadium when this is in play. Very interesting card. Probably was there to stop that Parallel City, but unfortunately it was just a turn too late for our grass player. Does get a Frolass there. Probably has the Evolution, whose name I don't remember, that will allow them to do 20 more damage, which is really good with these double attackers. Fortunately, does just do 60 damage to that Snorlax. So looks like this Diplin's probably going to go down this turn since Snorlax did wake up. Colorless players considering all their options. If they've got a way to get this Bibarel in play, which so far it doesn't look like they do in their hand. So there goes that Hisuian Heavy Ball. Can't even play that at this point since the prizes are face up, and there's no basic Pokemon in there, so definitely want to go ahead and get rid of that. Looks like our colorless player does draw a Rangaroo, another very powerful piece of that draw engine. Fortunately, has too many cards in hand right now to be able to make use of it, since it does just let you draw until you have 3 cards in hand. Not seeing a ton of options in our colorless player's hand, though it is a little bit hard to see everything that they've got going on. Considering lots of options, they're definitely in a better spot here than our grass player is. If our grass player, or if our colorless player did have a boss's orders or a Guzma to be able to get that Grottle and take the KO now on that, honestly could be a very difficult situation for our grass player, something that would be really tough to come back from. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I'm not seeing any of those options in our colorless player's hand. Ultimately decides to put down that Rangaroo. Probably were debating if they want to completely fill up their bench here. They do have a lot of support Pokemon down and no backup attackers outside of this Snorlax. So if Snorlax does go down, our colorless player could be in a little bit of trouble. Cyclozar can attack, but it's not a great attacker. Does look like they're doing a Desperation Nest Dash. Wants it to see if they find something. Didn't see what that was. See if our colorless player plays it. Does get to draw 2 from our Rangaroo. I think I saw a counter energy in there. Not super helpful for our colorless player right now since they're ahead. And has that unidentified fossil. Probably playing Aerodactyl, which is another good attacker, but again, our bench is full, so can't play that either. Not looking like a great play. Wow. Great hand from our colorless player, but does play that counter energy and passes the turn after doing a nice thumping snore. Looks like colorless player debating what to take, ultimately takes the recycle energy. Probably wants to be able to guarantee that they've got a way to attack with the Cyclozar next turn because they're expecting Snorlax to probably die. But Snorlax wakes up again. It's a 25% chance each time you do it to be able to wake up. So twice in a row, I think that's what, like a 12% chance for that to happen? Grass does power up Shaman with 1 grass energy. Plays that Evolution Incense to find another Pokemon. Doubt they want to evolve their Grottle here. They need to find a lot more grass Pokemon before they're ready to evolve. Oh, it actually does get that Torterra. So again, I'll be a little bit surprised if they evolve this turn. Goes ahead and finds a Beedrill as well, using that Grottle. Beedrill is another very interesting card. We will see if our grass player is able to get that down. It could be a way to catch back up if they can manage to pull it off. So Torterra does come into play. A little bit surprised at that. I'm guessing the hand for our grass player is just not looking all that good, and they're feeling the pressure to get up and running. Well, unfortunately, that Professor Kunai is a little bit wasted here. It doesn't look like our player is probably going to be attacking this turn. Since they did already attach to the Shaman this turn, that basically increases the damage you're doing by 20. Really great with your Jump Bluff and your other double attackers, but our grass player really just wanted to draw cards. Definitely looks like they're in a bit of a rough situation. This is kind of the power of Colorless. Colorless has those really big, beefy attackers that, if they're Snorlax or basics, they're not that hard to get into play. Very easy to power up. Can just keep swinging with them over and over again. Take lots of prizes, while something like Grass has to do a lot of evolution, a lot of setup. That Parallel City really hurt our Grass player. If that Chaotic Swell had come down 1 turn sooner, they would be in a much better situation here. So let's see what our colorless player does. I think there's a pretty good chance we'll see an energy on that Cyclozar, just because they want to have something ready to go to start attacking on their next turn, assuming this Snorlax does eventually go down. Playing down that draw energy, so they get 1 more card. Guzma, fantastic card. Won't be surprised if we see that Torterra come to the active to go ahead and get a swing on that. It's got 190 HP, so one of the few Pokemon that Snorlax can't just one-shot automatically with its Thumping Snore ability. So if you can, you want to take the initiative, most likely, on this Pokemon. That way, if it does KO you, you can easily just counter KO it right back on your next turn with that Cyclozar. That does happen. Our grass player, again, is going to be hurting even more than they already are. Yeah, not too many other options to hand. Looks like they've got their way to be able to find their fossil, but I think that might still be in their hand, or maybe they lost that from one of the either Ionos that was played earlier. No, I think I still see that in the hand. So playing Make Do, gonna discard that. I see a Palpad and some other card. Palpad can get them back a couple of supporters, though I'm not sure there's anything they would particularly want right now. After they play that Guzma, assuming they do that this turn, they might Palpad that back in along with another supporter. Guzma is obviously a very powerful card that's played in basically every GLC deck. Boss's Orders is a very powerful effect, while the ability to switch in one of your opponent's Pokemon while also switching in one of yours is very good. And the Guzma does get played. In comes the Torterra. Likely going to just do a retreat, on that Cyclozar. So we will get the initiative on this Torterra with Snorlax. I'm going to guess here we are going to see a Nest Dash most likely into that Rangaroo. Our colorless player wants to get that Barrel set back up, but let's see if they play this Palpad first to get Guzma and maybe one other supporter back into the deck. They're definitely considering it, and they do play it. Here comes Guzma. I don't know, might not be a bad choice. Oh, Tate and Lysa. So they want a way to be able to refresh their hand potentially, or switch things around if if their opponent decides to do some kind of cheeky play with a boss stall. But let us see, what do they do after this Pal Pad? Again, I am guessing they're going to use that Nest Dash and then do a Rangaroo. Likely after that, assuming they don't find too much else, we'll just go ahead and take that KO. Well, not that KO, but take that first hit on the Torterra. Grass player is really going to have to get some more Pokemon into play really quickly if they want to get back into this game. It's going to be very difficult for them to come back. Again, Grass has to do a lot of evolution. This could be a very critical turn to buy them time, since they're not getting KO'd this turn. As far as prizes goes, they're really not that far behind. Snorlax is asleep. If it doesn't wake up here, our colorless player might not have a way to actually wake up this Snorlax. But so far, they've been very lucky. Finally, that Snorlax stays asleep. We'll see if it wakes up when it goes back to the turn, assuming it's still alive at that point. Forget that 60 damage that was on the Snorlax before, so that comes back in. Here comes a net ball, or gonna get a grass energy. Thinking our grass player will probably power up their Shaman. Wants to probably get ready to take KO. Does no. Puts on the Torterra instead. Do they have another way to be able to get a grass energy onto this Torterra is the question. They do not, but they are just going to retreat for now. It makes sense. Trying to get to just stall for time. Wants to get more setup. Hoping that Snorlax is going to stay asleep most likely. It's really what's on the mind of our player. All right. So we will be going back to our colorless player's turn. We'll see if Snorlax wakes up. It does not. So it looks like the luck is finally ended for our colorless player. They draw for turn. They do top deck a therapeutic energy. That it would be a lot of energy to play with their Snorlax. We'll see if they decide to put it on there to wake up the Snorlax. Otherwise, I don't see much else in their hand going on if they don't put it on there. They are in a pretty good spot to be able to do that. They do have the Cyclozar in play to be able to take a KO on that Torterra since it was already hit with Snorlax earlier. It wouldn't be the worst idea to go ahead and use therapeutic energy to wake up Snorlax. But at the same time, committing 4 energy cards, 5 energy total on that Snorlax, kind of crazy to see. It looks like he does decide to do that. So Snorlax is up and ready to go. Going to take another KO this turn, most likely. Do have the Cypher Maniac code breaking. This will work out fantastically for our colorless player. Almost certainly going to find Bibarrel, put that on the top of the deck, and then one of whatever other card that they want. And then they will use Swovent to shuffle the rest of their hand in, put it on the bottom of their deck, and then that first card they'll draw will almost certainly be that Bibarrel. Does look like that's what they grabbed. Did see a quick glimpse of that in the hand. This is such a good play from our colorless player. Be able to guarantee you get that Bibarrel so that you can gin draw a bunch of cards. Well, probably we'll use that Rangaroo first. Might have a couple cards they can play from that, and then maybe you can draw even more cards from Bibarrel. But even still, be able to guarantee that they're going to get this Bibarrel back in play. Might wind up sealing the fate of our grass-type player here, since that powerful draw engine is going to be back online for our colorless player. This is definitely one of the strengths of colorless. They just have that really powerful draw engine that lets them get whatever they want, pretty much whenever they want. Granted, they do have to get a little lucky here and there, but you're just going through so many cards, there's a good chance you're going to be able to find what you need on most of your turns. It's why colorless is just such a consistent deck. There we go, draw 1 card. Yep, and it's the Bibarrel. So again, going to start off with that Rangaroo, drawing 3 cards. Always feels very good when you have an empty hand. You get to do Industrious Incisors or use that Rangaroo's Instruct ability. Didn't look like they had any cards to play, so go ahead and use Industrious Incisors and draw us 2 more. See if any more cards come down from our colorless player before they just go ahead and take this KO. Question is, what might they want to grab from their prizes after they take this KO? Don't really need that Ultra Ball. Hex Maniac is probably not doing a ton for them at the moment. Not a lot of good abilities in play that they should be that worried about. Bench is full, so probably just grab that Luxurious Cape. Just make do away that Artisan. Probably just wants to keep that KOX Wall in play, so there's no chance of Festival lead ever really coming into play from our grass player. It's like I know our grass player had to bounce that stadium at some point, but they might have done it a little bit preemptively. They haven't really played down many more Pokemon, so Parallel City wasn't doing too much to them at that point. KO happens, Torterra comes up, has that float stone on, so it can pivot back into the bench if they really needed to. Say that they can find anything from this level ball. They do not, so they fail that ultimately. It's really looking like a struggle for our grass player, staring down this Snorlax. If they've got an energy, they can at least KO the Snorlax, but then again, Cyclizar can just come up and take that counter KO. There's a good chance that our colorless player can probably find another attacker to be able to put down in the place of that Snorlax as well, just because they do have their powerful draw engine fully set up. Gladian grabs something out of the prizes. Oh man, it looks like the Grookey line was prized. Probably why that Rillaboom got discarded later on. Or earlier on, I should say. Does grab that Pokemon whose name I completely forget from the prizes. Technical Machine Evolution going down, probably just to get out of their hand. Doing a bug catching set. Players were just talking a little bit there. This is another good card for grass that came out recently. Lets you find some grass Pokemon or grass energy. Very versatile card. It looks like it does find the one grass energy to at least take a KO. So probably going to put that on your Torterra to at least again knock out this Snorlax. Though unfortunately that Cyclizar is just powered up. Actually, I'm sorry, that's a counter energy on attached there, so it's not fully powered up. It doesn't need one more energy to be able to get a counter KO. But there's a good chance that our colorless player does have another energy, or can find one with a Rangaroo and Barrel and make do. But we will see. Maybe they will not find something. If they don't, that will be our grasses player one chance to be able to come back. Otherwise, this might be the end for our grass player. They really do not have anything else going on if this Torterra goes down this turn. Cosplayer is thinking pretty hard, so maybe they don't have the cards they need in hand, or really debating if they want to play anything before they use that Nest Dash. Looks like they've got at least Guzma and Hala I saw in the hand, not super helpful. Boss's Orders, Lugia, so they do have a backup attacker if they want to put that down. It does have multiple energies in hand. Unfortunately, there are a lot of double energies, which is not ideal as far as what they want to put down this turn. Another option for them is to potentially put down that Lugia and put on a double colorless that they've got in their hand, retreat Cyclizar, and take the KO that way. That way they're preserving their Cyclizar for later and not having to waste an energy or double energy on it. Looks like Make Do happens. Discards the Archeops, finds the Urchin. Very funny. Could potentially rescue Stretcher for Snorlax here. Always a very powerful play. Snorlax I sometimes describe as a roach. You can usually use stuff like Rescue Stretcher or even Revive to keep just bringing that thing back and swing over and over again. Not all decks run both. Many will just use the more versatile Rescue Stretcher, which lets you find either one Pokemon from your discard, put in your hand, or shuffle 3 from your discard back into your deck. Does look like our player is debating that. Probably is. Yep, gonna grab that Snorlax right back. Puts that into hand. Probably gonna go down on the bench. Still would have been arguably better for our player here to put down that Lugia instead and take KO with that. He's extremely unlikely to be hit again next turn by that other Pokemon. It's got relatively low HP. I don't know if that would be a KO or not with the Arrow Ball if he attached another energy on the following turn to it. But it might be a little more stable because now he's going to have to choose between putting an energy on the Cyclizar to take the KO or putting an energy on the Snorlax. If the grass player does somehow find a way to take a KO on the next turn with Cyclizar, then it would take 2 turns for our colorless player to get powered back up again. Again, that's very unlikely. Seems like our colorless player is just being very cautious in this situation, doesn't want to lose. lots of badges and other prizes on the line for today, so just wants to be sure that they're really guaranteeing this win in round 1. All right, takes the KO. Gets another prize. Gonna guess they're gonna take the Luxurious Cape. No, guess they want the energy potentially. All right, Hex Maniac. Worried about some potential abilities coming into play. Finally, that Grookey comes down. Fortunately, very late. If that hadn't been in the prizes, this could have been a very different game for our grass player. Here comes Super Rod from the Arvin. Don't know if there's any more tools in the deck. Doesn't look like it, or at least any that they want to grab. So we'll see what goes back into the deck from this Super Rod. We got Shaman. Probably going to guess a Zarude or the Rillaboom is going to definitely go back into the deck. Does have 2 more choices they can make here. Might even want a Grass Energy. Lots of Grass Energies have gone to the discard. So, okay. We do get 2 Grass and a Shaman back in. And the deck gets shuffled, so it doesn't look like our Grass player has any way to be able to get those back currently. Colorless player just confirming that Super Rod is where that came from. Want to be sure that they were understanding. So that moves back over the discard. I think I saw a Scoop Up Net in our grass player's hand. Not a super helpful card here unless they just want to kind of scoop up the game. But hopefully they can find something from their hand here to be able to make a comeback. Fortunately, the reality is it's definitely looking like a struggle. That Grookey, while the Rillaboom obviously has a very powerful attack or a very powerful ability, but it's just going to get KO'd by the Cyclozar. So does look like it's probably over for our grass player here. We'll see if they concede or if they continue to go through. Oh, looks like they only concede. Congratulations to our colorless player on the round 1 win. It's very well played from both of our players. And there you have it. Colorless takes that win. Grass did have a chance in the very beginning, but that Parallel City ultimately just seems like it shut them down. If you did like this content, be sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe. We're having lots more GLC content coming out for you very soon, and I will see you in the next one.